All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. We have Sean Clifford with us. We'll start with we have a pretty lengthy list of questions today. We'll see. Well, we're going to go through the list once, and we'll see where we're at after that. Let's start with Tyler Donahue with Lions 247.
Hey, Sean, good to hear from you. Really appreciate your time today.
Of course.
Two parts to this question. They both involve the transition to your new offensive coordinator. 5 months working with Kirk, what is your confidence level in the ability of the offense to take a step forward in 2020? And then across the quarterback room, how have you guys been able to improve despite never actually throwing a pass in front of Kirk in a live practice setting?
Yeah, it's definitely been an interesting dynamic. I think that everybody realizes that now. There's been a lot going on. Sorry, my dog is going crazy. Hey, can you please relax? But with everything going on, it's definitely been an interesting dynamic. But overall, I think that I think we've done a good job just with the Zoom calls, making sure that everybody's staying accountable. And, you know, Coach Ciarrocca has done a great job of doing that within our room and within the offense. I've learned a lot, to say the least. I mean, I've always thought that, you know, going through like 3 different coaches, it would be a tough transition and everything. And overall, I think that it's been great getting to learn from 3 different, you know, minds, especially, you know, some of the most elite offense coordinators in the country. And Coach Ciarrocca is definitely somebody that I've looked up to so far and really picked his brain, became a better player without even throwing a pass with him. So definitely think that, you know, we're heading in the right direction. Excited to get back on campus and, you know, start working with him one-on-one and as a group. So that way we can get this thing rolling. Dude.
Next up is Rich Scarcella with the Reading Eagle.
Hey, thanks, Sean, for doing this. Hey, you mentioned Kirk. How has that relationship evolved over these 2.5, 3 months between you and he? And what has he done specifically to strengthen that bond and to ease your learning of the new system?
Yeah, I think that he switches up the meetings a lot. We do a lot of different types of meetings. We'll have strictly film. We'll have note-taking. We'll have – yesterday we actually played Jeopardy as a group, which was a lot of fun. Not like it was more we had different categories and you know, he was the game host or whatever. I forget what the Jeopardy guy's name is. But yeah. But so he switches it up a lot. Gives us a bunch of different looks. You know, we'll talk through plays. He'll talk for a while. He'll make it really interactive. So I think that it's just the variety of different things that he does keeps us on our toes, makes sure that we're really staying on top of the playbook. And, you know, it's been great. I think that, you know, everybody's taken a lot from it so far, doing their best to make the most of it. And I think that, you know, this time has been actually pretty good for our team.
Our next question is Audrey Snyder with The Athletic.
John, thanks for your time today. One quick question about the sweatshirt you're wearing.
Oh, yeah.
When did you get that? And my actual question, what do you think's the next step for this team as somebody who's been around here for a while?
Yeah, so I actually did not mean to wear this for this meeting, but this is it's a gunslinger sweatshirt. I actually saw it on, I think it was like an Instagram ad or something, and I was like, that's me. Like, I gotta have that. So that's where I got it. Just kind of gives you like the definition or whatever, but I think it's a cool little sweatshirt. And then your other question you said was,
what's the next step for this
next step
team?
Yeah. I don't know. I want to get back on campus and start to kind of, I think the next step is just moving forward with getting back on campus, getting like, it's one step at a time right now. And the next step is definitely just getting the team on campus, getting to work together, getting back into the weight room, on the practice field, and just kind of seeing where everybody's at. Because, you know, I haven't seen everybody for, what is it going on, about like 2 months now. So I think that that's kind of where we're at right now. I guess as an offense, the next step is just like mastering the offense. I think that everybody's done a really good job of grinding out this playbook, making sure that everybody's on top of their installs. But right now, I think that it's just getting everybody back together, being able to actually sit in a room, talk about plays, digest film, and talk about where we want to go this year. So I think that's definitely the next step for the team.
Our next question is Mark Brennan, Lions 247.
Don, excuse me, along those lines, with the playbook and whatnot, what has communication been like between you and the other skill players? And rumor has it that you actually broke out a whiteboard a few times. Can you show us the whiteboard?
It's actually in my, no, it's downstairs. But no, yeah, it's communication has been constant, honestly. We're constantly in communication. We are texting, sending videos. You know, the wide receivers will send me videos of their route running, so that way I can start to visualize where they're going to be, especially because we haven't gotten those spring ball reps. You know, just trying to find the littlest things to make ourselves better. And then for me, I got a whiteboard just because I'm a big like visual, like in my head, and then be able to draw it. And if I can draw it and really, you know, speak it into existence, then I feel like I know the play pretty well. So that's kind of where the whiteboard for me came. I got a whiteboard. I wish I had it in here. But it's just a whiteboard with a easel that you could set it on. And yeah, so I've been sending guys different things on that, and just, you know, just trying to make the most of every minute, every day that we have away from each other, because, you know, every team is trying to find that inch, and right now, you know, we're working for each inch that we can get away from each other, so that way when we get back together, we can start, you know, put them together, make some big strides.
Our next question is Greg Pickle, Penn Live.
Sean, how you doing today?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm doing well, thank you. What's the one or two things you've learned about Coach Ciarrocca during this time that maybe you wouldn't have learned if we didn't all have so much time to kind of sit together and meet and talk during all of this?
I've learned a lot about him in general. You know, he's definitely a very passionate person. Him and I connect on that in a lot of ways. Every meeting is very important to him. I see how hard he works. Each time that he steps in, I guess calls in to us, and whenever I talk to him on the phone, there's never a time where I'm not learning, I'm not growing, and I think that he really utilizes his time extremely well. So I think that that's one thing that I've learned. I think that I would have learned, obviously, if we were all in person, but I think just through Zoom and you know, him just trying to teach us in different ways, making it of different variety each time. I think that, you know, each time has been very valuable, and he's definitely a very passionate guy like myself. So
Next up is Donnie Collins, Times Tribune.
Hey, Sean, we've heard a little bit about the two young receivers from Florida, TJ Jones and John Dunmore. What have you seen from them, just from your dealings with them during this time, and how have they developed kind of since last year?
yeah, they're extremely hardworking guys, extremely hardworking. I think that, you know, TJ and JD are always sending me videos. If not, they're probably the most. You know, it's easy to keep in contact with them. They're always texting me, asking me questions. TJ's actually, he texted me yesterday about the playbook, trying to go over installs. So they're both very hungry. I'm excited to keep working with them. I think that, you know, they have boatloads of talent. but talent only gives you so much. You have to actually, work for it. And I think that they also have that work ethic. So I think that, I'm extremely excited although they're young, I think that they're both very capable of having great years. I'm just excited to get to work with them in person on the field, really start to hone that chemistry with both of them.
Next up is Nubias Wilborn, Pittsburgh Post-Gazette.
Sean, what has this last week been like for you, just as a leader of the team, interacting with different guys throughout, not only within the offense, but just all over the team in general?
I think it's been the whole situation is definitely a very difficult one. The time that we're in as a country is definitely an interesting one as well. I think long overdue, honestly. But from a team perspective, and that's where I kind of would want to keep it, is what I tell the guys and what I've told them from the start is, it's like, for me, it's all rooted in love. And I love every single one of my teammates. And I would never wish anything upon them like what has transpired in the past week. Obviously, I think that it's good that this is starting to come to light. The situation is obviously terrible, but it is good that as a country we're starting to actually feel this. It's been exhausting, to be honest with you, but I think that it's good that it's been exhausting because we're finally feeling what it's like to be an African American in our society. And I told the guys that I've talked to that I really feel for them, and I've never been more proud to be their teammate, especially guys that are speaking out on the issue. And I think that just overall, I just hope that we really change as a culture and as a country. And, I think a lot of good can come out of a very terrible, terrible situation. But overall, I think that it's all got to be rooted out of love, because love conquers all.
Next up is John Sauber, Center Daily Times.
Hey, Sean, what do you think you have to do next on the field to move forward as a player and to take the next step in your development?
Yeah, I think that Coach Ciarrocca is pointing out a lot of things that I can, keep on getting better at. One thing is definitely footwork, just because in this offense we have a little bit different footwork, not from, nothing like crazy. It's just this offense, Coach Ciarrocca is a very detail-oriented guy, similar to Coach Ronnie, but him in the footwork and the different drops, one step, one in a shuffle, 3-step, 5-step drops, we're even taking 5-step drops out of gun now. So I think that just honing into my footwork, making sure that that's on point. And one thing that we talked about is with footwork and a good solid platform will come better accuracy, which he thinks that I have a very good capability of having, and I'm very confident in that too. And I think that, with better footwork, better platform, being able to drive the ball off my last step, off of a hitch step, I think that that's going to pay dividends throughout the year. I'm just excited to really get to work with Coach Ciarrocca in person on that, instead of just sending him videos and, talking through it over a film session. I think that that's kind of where I'm trying to take the next step.
Frank Bodani, York Daily Record.
Hey, Sean, just jumping on just a little late. Sorry if you were asked something like this before, but during the whole pandemic, how do you think, is there a way as a quarterback, as a player, you think you've been able to somehow take advantage of this time to make you better?
I think there's numerous ways of taking advantage of this time. I think that, honing your individual skills is one. Getting out there, doing footwork drills, throwing the football. I like to talk about how I've had a little bit of a leg up with my brother being in my family, committed to the same school. I think that's definitely been a plus for me. So, being able to work with Liam has been great, and definitely beneficial for the both of us. I think that, you can learn a lot through film study, which I've done. And then I think that as a quarterback and as a player in general, you really don't have time to kind of explore different options. But in this pandemic, you gotta take the good with the bad. And I think the good has been that you have more time, and time is so valuable to us as a program. And with not as much going on in person, you've been able to find some new things. So I've been just trying to grow as a player through a lot of different vehicles. Like, for example, I've been working really hard, grinding through chess. One thing that I've found a lot of fun doing. But I find a lot of connections through football. I've been working with this chess trainer. His name is Seth Mikowski. And he's not a chess trainer. He's like an elite mindset trainer. So he really teaches you how to go through your reads and have a good formula to attack each play, attack each day, and kind of just grow as a person. So I think that that's just one thing that I've really been working on. But overall, I think that there's to answer your question, that was obviously a long way of answering it, but I think overall there's a ton of different ways that, athletes can get better during this time. There's really no reason not to. And I think that, myself and my teammates have made the most of it and are making the most of it as we speak.
Our next question is Peter Terpstra, WTAJ.
Hey, Sean, has it been frustrating at all this entire time kind of being cooped up? And have you been able to throw to anybody during this time?
Yeah, like I said, I think that, at the very beginning, it was a little bit frustrating, maybe like the first week. But once you get in a good routine, that's always been my thing. If I have a good routine, then I feel pretty good. And I have, like I said before, I've had my brother to throw to, and he's been working his butt off too to get ready for his season. And I think that it's benefited both of us tremendously just to have each other to throw. If he doesn't want to run routes that day, he'll catch me. So I think that, it's been very beneficial, and I think that we've made the most of it together.
Neo Riddell, Altoona Mirror.
Yes, thank you. Sean, do you expect in this offense to run the ball as often as maybe not only you, but Trace the year before did? And I'm pretty sure the host of Jeopardy was Art Fleming.
Yeah, the name is just was slipping my mind. But to answer your question, I don't know, because we haven't had a practice. Like we haven't, like, we've talked through scenarios. We've talked through his last offense with Tanner Morgan at the helm, and with the athletes that they had at Minnesota. So we've talked through a lot of things. We've talked through situations. We've talked through what he expects me to do. But obviously, he hasn't even seen me throw, so he doesn't know. All he has is the game film from last year in a different offense. So to answer your question, I'm not trying to, just blow past it, but I really don't know if I'm going to run more, pass more. But for me, it's all about, I'll do whatever it takes to win. And I think that Coach Ciarrocca is on the same wavelength, at least for that. So whatever we need to do to win games, myself and this team is willing to do. So I think that that's probably my best answer for that.
Next question is John Petishnock, happyvalley.com. John, I'm actually looking for you right now on the guest list. Oh, there you are. Gotcha. Go ahead, John.
Hey, thanks, Greg. And good afternoon, Sean. Hope you're doing well and appreciate your time today.
No problem.
Hey, given that you missed out on spring practice and haven't been around your teammates and coaches or even around the facility for a few months, have you gained an extra sense of appreciation for just how much you love and enjoy playing football?
Yeah, yeah, that's for sure. That's one thing that I think that a lot of people take for granted sometimes, which I understand. Like I have my days too where, you're just like, damn, I might just want to sleep in an extra 30 minutes today. Or, I'd like to have some more time with my family. And I'm not saying that, it hasn't been great being with my family. I've taken advantage of every minute of it, but overall, just not being around the facility, not being around the guys as much. And you definitely do see that you do take it for granted a lot. And, especially with being at a place like Penn State, with the people being so special, the facilities you take for granted, the coaches, just everybody. And I think that's one thing that we've definitely grown a greater appreciation for not only our sport, but our team and the team that we play for. So yeah, I definitely would say that I have grown in appreciation. I appreciated before, but this was definitely an awakening for me too when it comes to just never taking anything for granted when it comes to this kind of stuff.
Nate Bauer, Blue White Illustrated.
Hey, Sean, did you get to see much of Keandre before the shutdown, and what were your kind of initial impressions of him?
You said Keandre, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No. So, I saw him through winter workouts. He's definitely a hard worker. We've kept in contact a good amount as well. But no, I really haven't seen him in route running. I haven't thrown to him that much. And he's a guy that I'm very excited to work with. I think that he's got a great work ethic, and overall, I think that he's willing to work, and that's somebody that I've always been excited to have on my team. So obviously, in the next month or two, I'm excited to start getting that chemistry down.
Next question is Ben Jones, statecollege.com.
John, as a quarterback, people expect you to have all the answers all the time on the team, or at least be the guy that leads. When you look at some of the stuff that's happened off the field, not with your team specifically, but you touched on just sort of everything that's gone on the last week. What is sort of the balance between listening and leading, especially, considering that your, upbringing is different than some of your teammates?
Yeah. I try to vocalize that. And I think my teammates understand that. And like I said before, it all goes back to love, and the love that I have for this team and the love I have for these guys. I don't know what it's like to be an African, I don't know what it's like to be an African American in this culture. I don't have to deal with what they go through every day, and I tried to express that to them. And it's not the first time that we've talked about this. This has obviously been something that has been pressing in our culture. But I think that it's been brought to light now, and people can't ignore it. And I think that's honestly, like I said, it was a terrible situation, but I hope that as a society that we can see a lot of good out of it and start to make a change. Because like I said before, I love my teammates, I love their families, and I would never wish anything like that upon them. And I think that, everybody should be treated equally. And so, yeah, that's kind of what I've been preaching to everybody, and just trying to live that out every day. And I also like the Chance the Rapper
Thank you.
posters. Those are sweet.
We got time for a few more. Mike Gross, Lancaster Newspapers.
Hi, Sean. I'm wondering what's your conditioning? What have you been able to do at home for conditioning? Not so much quarterback specific stuff, but just athletic conditioning. And where do you feel like you are with your body as far as being able to step right back in and hit the ground running when you do get back?
Yeah, I think that Coach Galt has done a great job of making sure that everybody's on top of their conditioning and their weightlifting in whatever form that may be. Some guys had a gym. Some guys didn't have any weights. So I think that, they did a good job of making sure that whatever you have, you utilize it to the best of your ability. There were times, Cincinnati opened a little bit earlier, so I was able to get into a gym. But there was a lot of times where, my brother and I were just doing push-ups in our basement, pushing a car. It really just depends on what was going on. But I think that, Coach Galt has done a really good job of that and giving us a different variety of workouts where, if you could find a hill, here's a workout. If you can find stadium steps, here's a workout. If you can find a backpack and put some books in it, here's a workout. So it's definitely been a difficult situation that has turned into what we've tried to make as a team as a good one. So I think that we've utilized our time well.
Our next question is Chris Adamski, Pittsburgh Tribune Review.
Hey, Sean, just wanted to see how much different. This offseason is obviously different for everybody in a lot of ways. But putting that aside, just knowing that this was your team, you're the starter, you're leading the offense from all the way from December 29th instead of last year where there was wasn't a short all the way up until closer to the season. How much different that is for you, and how much better that can make you, and how much better of a leader that can make you.
Yeah, honestly, I haven't really looked at it as a difference because the day that I stepped on campus, I've tried to be a leader. Obviously, my leadership has changed throughout the years. I've figured out different things that I've wanted to do. I've kind of found myself where I want to speak up, where I want to stay quiet. But I've definitely I've started to find that balance for myself. But yeah, for this year, I think that it's just making sure that I'm the best leader and that you can be. And I think that the best way of leadership is being available. I think availability is the best ability. And that's just, for me, that's just talking to my teammates whenever I can, texting a new guy whenever I can. When we were in the facility, it was talking to someone new. Now it's a little bit more difficult, but just being around the team as much as possible, even though we can't physically be around each other. I think that that's kind of been difficult, but a challenge for me that I've tried to accept. And, I think that overall we've done a pretty good job with it. So, yeah, that's kind of where my leadership is right now.
And our last question of the day goes to Dennis Dodd, CBSSports.com.
Sean, leaving Penn State out of it, what do you think the temptation is nationwide for coaches to get really handsy during this voluntary workout time, maybe even start putting in the game plan?
Can you say it one more time? It went broke up. And
okay. I said leaving Penn State out of it, what do you think the temptation is nationwide for coaches to get, kind of hands-on during the voluntary workout period? Since you guys have been away so much.
I'm sure it's tempting. Every coach wants to be around their guys. They want to be able to coach. That's what they're here for. That's what they're passionate about. So I think that it's definitely been difficult. Coach Ciarrocca being somebody who, I see him really, really having a tough time sometimes. We'll be in a meeting, and then he'll want to describe something where he would bring somebody up and then show him how it'd be done, but just figuring out how to position the camera so that way you could show how the guy would run a route or release or whatever's going on. I think that coaches across the country have definitely tried to find different ways to be productive in this time, and I think that they're chomping at the bit right now to get back with their team, as am I. But I think that we're just going to take it one step at a time. Whatever the doctors want us to do from a hands-on perspective, we're going to do. We're going to follow those rules so that way we can have a great season this year.
Great, thank you so much.
No problem.
One more question for Joe Giuliano, Philadelphia Inquirer.
Thanks a lot.
Go ahead, Joe.
Hey, Sean, how you doing?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm fine, thanks. We were knocked out by a thunderstorm here in Philly, so you've
Oh,
probably
yeah.
been asked this before, but how long do you feel it will take once you guys get back on campus, especially yourself, to get in the kind of shape and conditioning you need to get ready for training camp?
I don't think it's going to be as big of a problem as we probably think it would be. From a team perspective, I think that we've done a good job of holding each other accountable, especially from a conditioning perspective. I think that, getting back into lifting, since guys might not have had a gym to work out in, that might be a little bit more difficult. But I think from a conditioning perspective, I think a lot of guys have been running. A lot of guys have been pushing themselves in different ways to try to make the most out of this time. So I think that overall, I really hope and I really believe that we're going to be in a good spot when we come back, whenever that may be. So I'm not too worried about that. I'm more worried about, just the amount of time. I want as much time as possible with my guys, so that way we can be as prepared as possible. But overall, I'm trying not to. I'm trying to just take one day at a time, one step at a time, and make the most out of everything. So, but to answer your question again, I'm not too worried about where our team will be conditioned.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thanks, Sean.